Today I'm going to discuss the beautiful poem of the Pablo Neruda. Pablo Neruda was born on the 1904 and his pen name and the legal name is Chilean poet. He is also famous as a politician and diplomat. He won the Nobel Prizes for the Literature in the year 1971. He wrote in the green ink which was his personal symbol for hope and desire. Um, The poem Keep Quiet written by the Pablo Neruda in which he discussed the need of the maintaining peace and silence. He stresses upon being quiet and harmless to the human being, animals and environment. He suggests that in order to maintain peace and harmony, it's required to stop and introspect ourselves. By these two paragraphs, we comes to know that how the Pablo Neruda is a famous as a politician and diplomat. He won the Nobel Prizes for the literature in the years of 1971 and he wrote in the green ink, which was his personal symbol, which symbolizes the hope and desires. The poem Keeping Quiet written by the Pablo Neruda in which he discussed about the need of maintaining peace and silence. In the day-to-day life, we are in very hurry in order to achieve lots of things in our life. Therefore, the poet here um, wants to tell us that and discuss that there is a need of maintaining peace and silence. He stress upon being quiet and harmless to the human being, animals, and environment. He suggests that in order to maintain the peace and harmony, it is required to stop and introspect ourselves. The poet asks humanity to count numbers from 1 to 12, 12 being the number of hours shown in a clock or the number of the zodiac signs. He requests everyone not to speak because languages create barriers between peoples. The moments when everyone stops moving their bodies will be very special and different as we have never experienced such a moment before. By this paragraph, we comes to know that how the Pablo Neruda is really stressed upon the maintaining peace and silence in order to maintain the like humanity and harmlessness for human beings, animals, environment, and etc. And he wants to ask everyone to count 1 to 12. 12 being the number of the hours shown in the clock or the number of the zodiac signs. He requests everyone not to speak because languages create barriers between them. He wants to maintaining silence because he really requests everyone not to speak because language creates barrier between peoples. The moment when everyone stops moving, their bodies will be very special and different, as we have never experienced such a moment. When everyone will be silenced, there would be a beautiful things because which we have not experienced it before. Stop moving, their bodies will be very special and different as we have never experienced such a moment before. The poet says that in this moment of inactivity, the fisherman would not harm and harms the waves. The soil gathering will not hurt their hands. Those people who are busy destroying the nature will adopt a new approach towards the life. The men who are preparing for wars and victory based on the death of innocent people will join their enemy and stand in unity with them. They are doing nothing and no one harm himself and any other. In this paragraph, the poet says that in this moment of inactivity, the fisherman would not harm the whales. The soil gatherers will not hurt their hands. The fisherman will not harm the whales, and the soil gathering will not hurt their hands. And those people who are busy destroying the nature will adopt a new approach towards the life. Those people who are busy destroying the nature, like cutting woods, trees, etc., will adopt a new approach towards the life. The men who are preparing for wars and victory based on earth of innocent people will join their enemy and stand in the unity with them. In this peaceful movement, they are doing nothing and no one harm himself and any other. So, by these lines, the poet wants to ask every people, everyone, like should be stand in the unity and should be maintain silence when in this peaceful movement no one harm any other animal, environment as well as human beings. Like we have the example of the fisherman, and we have the example of the people who are preparing for the victory. Based on that, innocent people will join their enemy and stand in the unity. Though in the same manner, the soldier on the wars who are preparing for the victory, they will stand in the unity with their enemies. They are doing nothing, and in this peaceful uh, moment, everyone should be stand in a silence and no one harm any other. In this poem, poet doesn't advocate total inactivity and death. He clarifies in his poem that he wants all the people to just stop for a while in order to analyze their activity and consequences. He wants human beings not to support war and damage to the environment. In this paragraph, poet advocate that he is not asked everyone to be like inactive and like a dad. He clarify in this poem that he wants all the people to just stop for a while in order to analyze their activity and consequences, which kind of actions they are doing in their day-to-day life, which kind of consequence behind these activities, and the results of their activities, and which um, he wants to he wants human beings not to support war and damage to the environment. The poet refers sadness with their own action and deed of the pupils. According to the poet, we all are in the hurry to achieving various tasks in our life. This rush sometimes proves dangerous for us as we don't analyze our actions. Therefore, we land ourselves in a number of problems. These problems then becomes the reason for our sadness, as refers to in the poem. Uh, poet, the poet is referring the sadness with their own actions and deeds of the pupils. He wants to give the example of the pupil sadness is the results of their own deeds, which kind of actions they did in their day-to-day life. They in daily tasks and in various tasks and activities they are doing in their day-to-day life, and their sadness is dependent on their actions and deeds. According to the poet, we all are in the hurry to achieve various tasks in our life. This will sometimes prove dangerous for us as we don't analyze our actions. Therefore, we land ourselves in a number of problems, and these problems then becomes the reason for our sadness, as refers to in the poem. Um, Now we have the example of the other things like in this poem, the poet takes the example of the earth in order to prove that there can be life under apparent stillness. He wants to state that there would be a apparent stillness, like in order to prove that example, there can be a life. He wants to tell us under the apparent stillness there can be a life. Okay? The earth never gets inactive. Earth is if we see the earth, it's look like a inactive death, but there is a life. We experience change in the season, which brings so many different things of the changes. In winter, things comes to a standstill as a water bodies freeze. For example, the trees and their leaves, etc. In the winter season, we can see that by this poem, we comes to analyze that the earth never get inactive. We experience changes in the season, which brings so many different things of the changes. In winter, things comes to a still stand as the water bodies freeze. For example, the trees shade their leaves, etc. In the winter season, we can see that the dryness on the leaves and trees. There is a shade of the fogs, and everything looks like a freezing, and there is lots of dryness in the weather. We can notice all this kind of things in the winter season. But as soon as the spring season comes, it brings lovely flowers, flowing rivers, or new life gives to the nature. When the spring seasons come, uh, we we can see the lovely flower and flowing rivers and the new life given to the nature. So the poet wants to convey that we should stay calm, but that doesn't mean that it will bring total inactive and stillness. By the example, poet wants to convey us, um, if the pupils are is in the stillness and silence, there is it doesn't mean that there is no leaves, there is no happiness in their lives. There should be uh, lots of changes in their life with the calmness, silence, silenceness, and stillness, and just like the earth look like a still, but it doesn't mean that mm, there is no life on the earth. There is no nature, there is no changes, there is no um, mm, progress in everything is there with the silence and peacefulness. In the same manner, point want to say that in the human life there should be silence, peacefulness, but there should be a change, there should be a progress. Okay? Now we comes to the theme of the poem. The poet Pablo Neruda urges mankind to cease all the activity for a little while. During in this few moments of silence and inactivity, all human beings would be one united and in harmony with each other and nature. This togetherness and oneness is most desirable for the survival of the earth and human beings. So, by the theme of the poem, we comes to know that how the Pablo Neruda is urges mankind to cease all the activity for a little while. During in this few moments of the silence and inactivity, all the human beings would be one unity. For a while, for a moment, all the human beings are united. There is a togetherness of the pupils and in harmony with each other and with the nature also. By the nature, he wants to convey us like environment and animals. This togetherness and oneness is the most desirable for the survival of the earth. This kind of togetherness and oneness is the most desirable for the survival of the earth and of the human beings. So now we comes to the literary devices of the poem. Count to 12. Count to 12 symbolizes a measure of time. The clock has a 12 marking on it and the year has 12 months and hours. So when the poet asks everyone count to 12, he just want to make a silence for a while, and count to 12 symbolizes a measure of time. And the clock has a 12 marking on it, and the year has a 12 months and hours also. So by this symbol, he wants to make a silenceness and peacefulness. In the shade is a metaphor of the protection. The way shades protects us from the harshness of the sunshine, in the same manner we can protect each other. Therefore, we can live peaceful life and harmony. So, there is a symbol of and a metaphor of the shade, um, which is a metaphorical device of the protection. The way shade protects us from the harshness. We can see in the winter season there is a shade on the leaves of the trees. There is a shades of the um, everywhere. There is a dryness in the winter season, so which is for the protection due to the harshness of the sunshine. Um, from the harshness of the sunshine, it is the protection. In the same manner, we can protect each other. Therefore, we can live peaceful life and harmony. Clean clothes symbolizes in the poem the peace and change in one perspective. Clean clothes, like we should wear clean clothes daily as we want to peace in our life and change in one perspective. Earth can teach us when everything. There is a use of personification as a teacher. There is a use of personification as a teacher. Earth can teach us everything. The way Earth appears to be dead, but it is actual dormant and carefully perceiving the seeds of life. We can see the Earth look like a inactive and dead, but there is a life on the Earth, and there is a changes also by the seasons like winter, summer, and the way Earth appears to be dead, but it is actually dormant and carefully perceiving the seed of life, and there is a oxygen, and the trees are growing there, the blooms are growing there, and blossoming there, and beautiful creations of the goddess on the earth. But earth look like a dead and inactive, but there is a life on the earth. So there is a conclusion of the poem. Through the description of the poem, we can comes to learn that all the creation of the earth undergo rebirth with a change in the same manner. Keeping quiet will be a rebirth for the human soul. So through the description of the poem, we can comes to know that and learn that the all creation of the earth undergo rebirth with a change in the same manner, with the change of the season, with the change of the cleanness, peacefulness, and etc. and lots of by the seasons, and there is a rebirth with a change. In the same manner, the keep quiet will be a rebirth. Keep quiet, keeping quiet um, is a valuable time while we should think about our actions, whatever we have did our in our past, what we are doing in our present. So Pablo Neruda is urges everyone um, to keeping quiet for a while and count to the 12 in order to understand the consequences of their actions, their deeds, the sadness they have in their life, and what are the reason behind that, and why they have this kind of sadness, and what are the reason behind it, and how they should change them, how they should not repeat them. So just because of the thinking for a while, he wants everyone should be in a silence and think about their actions, what they have did in their past and present. So by this poem we comes to know that how the Pablo Neruda is very is a very one is very talented poet, and how he asks everyone, and he is also as famous as a politician and diplomats, and he has won the lots of Nobel prizes for the literatures, and his symbol is green ink for his personal symbol for hope and desire. He always write in the green ink pen. He wants to describe the hope and desire in the life. So by this poem, he wants to convey us a message to keep quiet in our life for a while, as we can able to understand about our actions, consequence, consequence of their actions, and how we have did in their past and present. So this kind of action should be um, and deeds resulting in our present and past life. That's why he wants to think for a while and maintain a silence for a while. So by this by the structure of the answer, I hope you understand the main theme of the poem, and how the Pablo Neruda is urged all the human beings to be keep silence for a while, as the giving lots of example and all that things. And by this structure of the answer, you can able to answer all kind of questions which will come in your examination. Like first of all, you have to write the introduction of the Pablo Neruda, and secondly, you have to um, write about the keeping quiet, um, whole descriptions and explanation by the poet, and which are the most important symbols and the literary devices he has used in the poem, and by the symbols he wants to tell us lots of things we should keep in our mind, and they wants to give the lots of uh, um, attentions toward the maintaining silence and peacefulness things. So I hope you like this video. Thank you so much.